Hey, friends! Well, Disney's The Little Mermaid remake has finally dropped right into the toilet bowl. Will it sink or swim? Doesn't matter in the long run since it'll be flushed anyway. Still gonna stink up the joint? Come on, light a match already, Disney, huh? Ugh. Well, I haven't heard too many good things about this movie, but you do you. If you want to go see it, go ahead. I won't go see it myself because I'd rather spend money to watch stuff I'd actually enjoy. But it got me thinking, maybe I could find some alternatives for you. So I scouted around for some other mermaid movies. Now, of course, your go-to is going to be the real Little Mermaid, the animated one from 1989. Or you could watch Splash from 1984. Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks, Eugene Levy. That's a real classic too. But I wanted to find some that maybe you hadn't heard of before. Believe it or not, 5 or 6 years ago, there were no less than 3 live-action versions of The Little Mermaid in production around the same time. One was from Disney itself, The Little Mermaid Live, which came out in 2019. Another was this thing, an indie production from 2016 starring Rosie Mack. I haven't seen either, but this second one looks cheap as all hell and gone, so I'm skipping that one too. But then there was The Little Mermaid from 2018. Here, a grandma tells her kids the story of a mermaid, so it's all told in flashback. The time period is in the 1930s. This little girl's parents died in an accident and she's being cared for by her uncle. Now, this girl has what's basically a case of asthma. And at the time, they really didn't have any good medicine for that, so she's not supposed to run and play and stuff, or she has an attack and can't breathe. The uncle is a reporter, and he serendipitously gets an assignment to go to Mississippi and look into a circus that claims to not only have a live mermaid, but a cure for any and all illnesses. This cure is in the form of mermaid water, which they sell. Uncle and niece go to Mississippi and start investigating. They do indeed have a mermaid, and several people claim the water cure works. But is it all fake, snake oil, or what? Turns out the mermaid is actually real, and the cure is, well, they basically sell the water from her tank for people to drink. So they're essentially selling her bath water. Ugh. But the owner of the circus, Locke, is evil and has evil magic powers, which he uses to control the circus people and the mermaid. Can our hero save the mermaid from Locke's evil clutches? Will the little girl be cured? And what of love? Being a sort of family movie, naturally, the mermaid has a mer bra. Real mermaids go topless. So I have to dock this one some points for lacking authenticity. No. I'm kidding. Well, I'm half kidding. Okay, I'm not kidding. I was disappointed. Anyway, I like the majority of the cast, except for Locke, the ringmaster. He's the baddie, but this guy is way too young looking to pull this off, and he lacks the required gravitas. They needed an older guy for this part. The rest are pretty good. Not many name brands here, but there's a few. Shirley MacLaine plays the grandmother, who narrates the story. Not James Harriet. William Moseley is the uncle. He was in the Chronicles of Narnia series. He really does look like James Harriet from All Creatures, though, doesn't he? He sure does. Poppy Drayton is the mer chick. She was in the Charmed TV series. Liked her. She and Moseley are really good together. Jo Marie Payton plays the owner of a house in Mississippi that our hero rents. She was Aunt Harriet on Family Matters. I really want to give this one some credit. They were trying to make something original, at least, and were pushing the boundaries of their budget as best they could. There's some green screen that's very obvious. Not too much, but when they use it, it stands out. Otherwise, the effects are pretty decent given the budget they were working with. But but it's one of those movies that's all over the place. It's not a musical, but the mer chick sings this Broadway song as if it were a musical. It's a nice song, but why? Either make a musical or don't, right? There's magic in this world, but the nature of this magic and how it works is never really explained, and it goes full-on X-Men towards the end. Like, this fortune teller chick suddenly goes all Jean Grey. It just happens out of the blue. And the wolf boy, a pretty standard circus character, he goes into beast mode like a wolf man, or, you know, beast. His makeup reminded me of Vincent from Beauty and the Beast. Remember that one? I love that show. I think what they needed to do here was to ditch the superpowers and keep the mystery alive. Is this a real mer chick, or is it just fake, an act, just part of the circus show? That would have been cool, much more interesting than the magic battle stuff. Trouble with this one is that it was made for an audience that would be pretty rare. It wants to be a family movie, a kids movie, a romance movie, a movie that would appeal to grandmas, but it wants to be this dark fantasy movie, too. It has that Hallmark Channel vibe, but then it has a dark fantasy vibe, then a superpower vibe. So who's it for? I mean, not many people will tick all those boxes. You know what this reminded me of? That Canadian version of the Nutcracker we talked about at Christmas. You know, the one set in World War II that had nothing whatever to do with the Nutcracker. Yeah, this is kind of like that. It's not Hans Christian Andersen's story at all, really, although they do recap the story at the beginning. I wouldn't say this one is for kids exactly. There's nothing really offensive or terrible in it, but it takes forever to get to the magic part, so I suspect kids will be bored with this one. Then the magic and some of the other stuff seems a little scary at times. I don't know. And the ending is seriously eye-rolling. Like, if you saw my eyes at the very end of this, they were rolling so hard you'd mistake me for a Las Vegas slot machine. Seriously. But all in all, I found I didn't hate it. Most of the cast are good and likable. The effects are good, though misplaced here. Cinematography is good. I'd give it a paw and 3/4, I guess. Maybe even 2 paws? I don't know, your mileage may vary. At least it's different anyway. Next up, we have The Mermaid from 2021. This one hails from China. Here, a team of scientists are trying to catch mermaids. For science! Our hero works for this old professor guy, and while he's able to trank a mermaid, he falls overboard and has to be rescued by another mer chick. He wakes up on an island, and this crazy chick forces him to marry her, and then they go back to town. The idea is to free the captured mermaid from the lab, of course. Over the course of the movie, naturally he falls in love with the mer chick. I can't blame him, she's pretty cute. But she's a mermaid and our hero's a human, so it looks like he's gonna get friend-zoned by a fish. Well, we've all been there, haven't we? Will the mermaid be rescued from the lab? Will true love find a way? The mermaids are done with CGI for the most part, and it looks almost as good as what I've seen of the new Disney rehash, meaning not very convincing. At least they do spend some time actually underwater in this one. Is it any good? Well, yeah, kinda. It seemed aimed at teenagers, I think, but it has some fun stuff. The romance is nice, the comedy is sweet, the mer people have magic powers and stuff, but hey, different culture, different rules, right? The biggest question I have is, where do the mer people get their clothes? Like, they have these various outfits they wear. Where'd they come from? Again, probably not one for little kids. There's nothing nasty in it, but some things may be a bit scary for the little ones. They're basically torturing these mer people in the lab. For science! And there's a little bit of violence at the end. It's not too bad, though. The romantic comedy elements are fun. I kind of like this one. I'd give it 2 paws. For what it is, it's pretty cool. Finally, here's a real classic for you, Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid from 1948. This one stars William Powell and Anne Blythe. In this one, Mr. Peabody is turning 50, and he's having sort of a midlife crisis about it. He and his wife go to the Caribbean for a vacation, and he's out one day fishing when he snags himself a mermaid. Even though she can't speak, they fall in love, albeit a chaste kind of love, of course. Even when he kisses her, it's only on the side of her mouth, as that's more innocent. But he's a married man and she's a mermaid, so it doesn't seem to have any future in it. Everyone thinks he's crazy, of course, because mermaids aren't supposed to be real. This is a nice, light fantasy comedy and rather unusual. Powell is great, of course, but Anne Blythe steals the show as this mermaid who has to convey her emotions non-verbally. She had to learn how to swim while wearing a mermaid tail, too. This is easily 2.5 paws. I really liked this one. It's in the same vein as I Married a Witch from 1942. So how about it? You have a favorite mermaid movie? You let me know down there in the comments. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.